Critical thinking is vanishing. Not because people are dumb, but because the world is designed to make thinking hard, uncomfortable, and even dangerous. The questions you're afraid to ask might be the only thing keeping your mind free. We scroll, we nod, we repost. But when was the last time we actually thought, deeply, independently, without someone else's voice telling us what to believe? This isn't a sudden collapse. The death of thinking is quiet. It begins in small ways. A school system that drills us to memorize dates instead of questioning history. News cycles that reduce complex realities into bite-sized outrage. Algorithms that reward speed, clicks, and conformity over reflection. Thinking isn't outlawed. It's just inconvenient. It slows things down. And in a world obsessed with speed, who has time for patience? Here's the irony. The very tools meant to connect us, the internet, social media, 24/7 information, are the same tools eroding our ability to reflect. Think about it. Every time you question authority, you feel a flicker of hesitation. Will this offend someone? Will this cost me likes? Will this label me difficult? That hesitation is the system at work. We're not told not to think. We're conditioned to self-censor, to believe the line, better safe than sorry. And so, we choose silence. We trade independence for acceptance. We let algorithms choose our taste. We let talking heads summarize reality. Slowly, without noticing, we outsource our minds. The philosopher Noam Chomsky once called this the manufacturing of consent, a society where people don't even realize their beliefs were chosen for them. That's where we are today. Not forced compliance, but voluntary obedience. Want proof? Look around. Conversations have shrunk into sound bites. Debates end not with answers, but with block buttons. Research now means scrolling headlines, not reading books. Even language is changing. Words like critical thinking, skepticism, philosophy sound outdated, too slow for the dopamine-fueled speed of digital life. But history shows us, when societies stop questioning, they don't stay still. They collapse. They repeat mistakes. They hand power to whoever shouts loudest. Let me ask you something directly. When was the last time you sat with an idea, not for seconds, not for likes, but for hours? When was the last time you let a question disturb you, instead of rushing to silence it with a Google search? That discomfort, that silence, is where real thinking begins. But today, silence is the enemy. Noise drowns it out. And so, the quiet death of thinking isn't dramatic. It's not a guillotine. It's a slow suffocation, so subtle that most of us don't notice we're already gasping. But this is just the beginning. The death of thinking, the autopsy, the forces dissecting our attention, rewiring our brains, and teaching us to confuse information with wisdom. Because here's the truth. It's not that we stopped thinking entirely. It's that we've been taught to think less. And the ones teaching us, they know exactly what they're doing. What if I told you that your brain itself is being hijacked, not by force, but by the environment you live in every single day? That your thoughts, opinions, and even your sense of certainty are being carefully engineered? This is the age of information overload and obedience. Every day, the average person processes 5 times more information than just a few decades ago, according to neuroscientist Daniel Levitin. Notifications, headlines, tweets, reels, ads, alerts, all vying for your attention. Your brain, remarkable as it is, wasn't built for this. When overloaded, it stops thinking deeply. It takes shortcuts. It relies on mental habits, familiar ideas instead of new evaluation. Cognitive biases, simple heuristics that feel right. Social proof, cues from others, peers, influencers, authority figures. You've seen it yourself, scrolling past a post with thousands of likes and thinking, it must be true. That's not reason. That's conditioning. That's a shortcut your brain uses to conserve energy. And it's one of the main reasons collective stupidity spreads so easily. Another hidden danger is how we read now. Neuroscientist Marianne Wolf warns that digital media is rewiring our brains. We skim, jump between tabs, scroll endlessly. Critical thinking requires sustained attention. Without it, reflection disappears. Analysis becomes shallow. Opinions become instant reactions. Ask yourself, When was the last time you read a full article without checking your phone? When did you last pause to reflect instead of reacting immediately? Even the great minds warned about this. Carl Sagan said we live in a society exquisitely dependent on science and technology, in which hardly anyone knows anything about science and technology. The problem isn't ignorance alone. It's the erosion of the ability to question intelligently. It starts young. Award-winning teacher John Taylor Gatto explained that schools were designed not to create independent thinkers, but obedient factory-ready minds. Students are evaluated on memorization, not originality. Curiosity is a distraction. Conformity is rewarded. This pattern extends into adulthood. Workplaces, media, friendships question the consensus and risk social exclusion. Speak against the tribe, and the response is immediate: judgment, criticism, even ostracism. Eric Fromm captured this in Escape from Freedom. Many people secretly want to surrender their freedom of thought because true freedom comes with responsibility. Responsibility is terrifying, so we choose comfort. And then there's social media, the perfect storm of manipulation. Platforms are engineered for emotion over reason, speed over depth, outrage over nuance. The more you react, the more the algorithm feeds you what reinforces your emotions. The slower, thoughtful analysis is drowned out by the loudest reactions. Content that confirms your beliefs is rewarded. Content that challenges them is suppressed. This is not accidental. It's psychologically engineered, using the very heuristics and shortcuts your brain naturally relies on. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman describes two systems of thought. 1. Fast, instinctive, automatic, emotional. Quick judgments. Snap decisions. Energy efficient. 2. Slow, deliberate, analytical, reflective. Energy intensive. Requires focus and patience. In today's world, most people are stuck in fast mode. The fast system is perfect for scrolling, liking, reacting, but disastrous for reason, analysis, and true understanding. Politicians, marketers, media outlets exploit this. They simplify complex issues, use emotional language, and repeat narratives until the brain accepts them as true. Once belief sets in, confirmation bias locks it further. Then there's groupthink. The desire for harmony and conformity leads to irrational decisions. Even intelligent, well-intentioned people fall into this trap, silencing doubts to preserve unity. History proves it. Corporate disasters, historical atrocities, all fueled by people choosing consensus over truth. Going against the grain isn't just difficult. It requires courage and integrity. Yet, those who dare to think differently, Galileo, Darwin, Martin Luther King, Nietzsche, changed the world, even at great personal cost. We've explored how society, media, and institutions shape our thoughts. But the most dangerous battlefield isn't outside of you, it's inside. The human mind itself is a war zone, where emotion battles reason, shortcuts replace careful analysis, and the temptation to follow the crowd is overwhelming. Understanding this inner struggle is the key to reclaiming your mind. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman identified two systems of thought. 1. System 1, fast thinking. O automatic, emotional, instinctive. O quick judgments, snap decisions. O conserves mental energy. 2. System 2, slow thinking. O deliberate, analytical, reflective. O requires effort, attention, and patience. O evaluates evidence, questions assumptions. The problem? In today's high-speed world, most people live in System 1. They react instantly, follow mental shortcuts, and let emotion guide beliefs. Every news alert, social media post, or trending topic pushes your brain to rely on System 1. Meanwhile, the slower, more reasoned System 2 is left idle, underdeveloped, untrained, and ignored. Even when you think you're reasoning clearly, your mind plays tricks. These cognitive biases distort perception and judgment. Confirmation bias, seeking evidence that supports your beliefs while ignoring contradictions. Authority bias, assuming someone's opinion is true just because of their perceived status. Availability bias, overvaluing information that's easiest to recall, often the most recent or sensational. Think about it. How often do you scroll past posts you disagree with without engaging, or read articles that align with your pre-existing beliefs? This is not laziness. It's your brain conserving energy, but at the cost of truth. Then there's groupthink, the phenomenon where the desire for unity overrides critical thinking. Doubts are silenced. Minority opinions are dismissed. Consensus is prioritized over truth. Even intelligent people fall into this trap. History is full of examples: corporate failures, political disasters, and social movements where silence or conformity led to catastrophic outcomes. The brain wants safety. It craves approval. Challenging the group feels dangerous, and so many surrender their independent thought rather than risk conflict. Critical thinking is not just intellectual, it's emotional. It forces you to confront uncertainty, challenge your ego, and admit what you don't know. Cognitive dissonance occurs when new evidence clashes with cherished beliefs. Many retreat into ideological comfort zones to protect their identity. Social media magnifies this, rewarding emotional reaction over thoughtful reflection. In short, thinking critically is uncomfortable, and our minds naturally avoid discomfort whenever possible. History shows us that progress comes from those who dare to think differently. Galileo challenged the accepted worldview. Darwin risked ridicule with the theory of evolution. Martin Luther King defied social norms to demand justice. The lesson? Independent thought carries a cost, but it also carries clarity, self-respect, and freedom. The quiet act of thinking is rebellion against manipulation, indoctrination, and conformity. One of the most powerful tools lost to modern life is inner dialogue. The habit of sitting with a question, exploring ideas deeply, letting truth emerge through reflection rather than noise. We've outsourced thinking to algorithms, social media, and popular opinion. No trending topic or viral video can replace your inner voice. Practices like metacognition, thinking about your thinking, and dialectical thinking, holding opposing ideas in tension, build mental resilience. They allow you to step beyond tribalism and emotional shortcuts into true understanding. Critical thinking requires humility, accepting uncertainty as part of growth, of being willing to admit mistakes, rejecting intellectual laziness and the comfort of assumed knowledge. Socrates put it simply, the only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. This isn't self-deprecation. It's a lifelong invitation to remain curious, adaptable, and awake. How to reclaim your mind, resist manipulation, and become a beacon of clarity in a world drowning in noise. We've explored the forces outside and inside your mind, the distractions, the biases, the pressures that erode independent thought. Now comes the most important question: what can you do about it? Critical thinking is not just a skill, it's a revolution, starting with one person, you. The first step is awareness. Noticing when you're thinking versus when you're reacting. Pause before sharing that viral post. Ask, am I responding or am I reflecting? Notice your mental habits, your emotional triggers, and your sources of influence. This simple awareness is the first defense against manipulation, propaganda, and mental laziness. Next, develop the habit of asking better questions. What am I being told to believe? Who benefits from this belief? What assumptions am I making unconsciously? Have I considered opposing perspectives sincerely? These questions are uncomfortable because they challenge certainty, but they are the heart of independent thought. Critical thinking requires courage and humility. Courage to admit you're wrong. Courage to explore ideas that contradict your beliefs. Humility to accept that you don't know everything. It's a paradox. The more humble and open-minded you become, the stronger and freer your mind grows. In a world obsessed with speed, slow down. Read long-form articles and books. Reflect on ideas instead of reacting instantly. Engage in dialectical thinking. Hold opposing ideas in tension to understand deeper truths. Develop inner dialogue. Question your own assumptions and explore the roots of your beliefs. True understanding grows in silence, contemplation, and patience, not in the noise of instant opinion. Critical thinking isn't just personal, it's a public service. Your clarity challenges collective stupidity. Your reflection inspires others to pause and question. Every conversation where you seek understanding, not victory, plants seeds of wisdom. By thinking clearly, you resist manipulation and help create a society where truth, not noise, guides action. The most insidious trap is tying your identity to beliefs, ideologies, or social groups. Opinions are not who you are. Ideologies are tools, not definitions. Freedom comes from recognizing that you are the observer of your thoughts, not their prisoner. When you detach your self-worth from your current beliefs, you open the door to growth, clarity, and real freedom. Critical thinking is not a hobby, it's a practice. Engage regularly with challenging ideas. Seek perspectives that make you uncomfortable. Question assumptions daily. Accept uncertainty as part of the journey. Discipline is what transforms awareness into real intellectual power. The truth is this: every act of thinking clearly is an act of rebellion against manipulation, distraction, and conformity. Every pause instead of reaction, every question instead of assumption, every moment of reflection is a spark that can ignite wisdom, courage, and freedom within you and in those around you. The rise of collective stupidity is not unstoppable. It is a symptom of fear, distraction, and convenience. But you can resist it. By thinking critically, you reclaim your mind. You see the difference between information and manipulation, between education and indoctrination, between truth and convenience. And once you awaken, once you choose clarity over comfort, you can never go back. You become a force of light in a world of noise, a calm voice in a storm of outrage, a mind that dares to sit in complexity while the world chases certainty. This is your invitation. Wake up, think deeply, and take ownership of your mind. Because the future of society doesn't depend on louder voices. It depends on clear minds like yours.